Look at the size of this camera. It's absolutely huge. And Brian there, the camera operator, is trying to keep me going. Behind, look at that. That is the outside broadcast. And look at this.
Hi, I'm Paul Elkington and I'm here with the TV on Wheels tour, which is a group of people that have restored and lovingly restored earlier BBC outside broadcasting vehicles in the hope that they won't ever get lost and they'll preserve our history of how broadcasting started. I'm actually sat in the engineer's position within the Roving Eye vehicle, which was a concept that the BBC came up with for filming horse racing, or actually being alongside the horses as they were racing. They had many different versions of these vehicles. They only ever had one at a time. They started with lorries. The commentators moaned that the lorries got in the way of them seeing the horses, so they went over to cars. The first car that they ever tried was a Humber Super Snipe. And the first time they took it out to the races, the horses left the start line and the Humber was still getting up revs, and it was obviously too heavy and not quick enough. Also, the suspension wasn't good. They then tried a Citroën DS and they found that very successful. Their first DS saw many years of service. They had a second DS. After that they moved on to the Citroën CX because it was newer and more modern. And the last car they had with the cameraman on top was the Citroën XM, which is the vehicle we're in today. All the cars have been scrapped as far as we can make out and research. So this is not the original car, but it is the same make and model of car that was used by the BBC. All the equipment though, however, is original and of the period and of that time. Obviously we've got the Philips camera on top, and all the equipment inside is as it would have been back in the day, which would have been in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. They were taken out of service on health and safety grounds because obviously you can imagine that sitting on top of a car, strapped in by a lap strap, doing 40 miles an hour alongside a racehorse, it was a pretty hairy ride. There was a lot of people in the car. There was an engineer in the position I am, there was a driver and the cameraman on top, so it was quite a heavy load and bounced along the track next to the horses. They managed to get a very stable picture by using a fairly wide angle lens and transmitted those pictures back to a number of aerial arrays. And there's plenty of footage around showing pictures from that car in that era. So it's a concept that worked. After these, they went on to the remote heads, that sort of thing, which is not fun anymore. So this actually started as a drunken conversation in a pub one night about what happened to the cars that the BBC had, and I'd had too much brandy or Guinness, I can't remember which, and I thought, well, instead of we're never going to find those vehicles, so let's recreate it. So that's how it started. And currently we're now doing a CX, which would be 15 years older than this, in the last of the BBC's green livery. And it's probably the one that most people remember from the Grand National days. We've actually got footage of that car at the Grand National. So it's an interesting history. It's completely nuts. People love it. People who love Citroëns love these cars. People who love the BBC love these cars. People who love horse racing love these cars. And when we've met young people, they just said that is the coolest looking dash cam they've ever seen. So it appeals to everybody. Roving Eye to VT. Are you getting pictures from the car, over?
VT to Roving Eye, we've got your pictures.
Keep the wides on 2 and 3.
Originally, the equipment they had in here could all be capable of running off DC, so they had large battery packs in the boot area. On the earlier vehicles, that wasn't possible, so in the CX and the DS, it's all towed generators behind them, so the generators bounced along the track behind as well. I've been on the top while it's been driven around in the yard outside our warehouse, and I have driven it with someone else on the top.
And what was it like?
Scary. So I can't imagine what it was like back in the day, doing 35 miles an hour, across a race course, strapped to the top of this thing, bouncing around. I just think the whole concept of, getting these vehicles together, they're all interlinked, so the boys in the trucks can see the pictures from the car here, and getting it out to people. People love this vehicle.
Great. So first of, continuation of many
I
events,
hope there will be many of these. Funding is always the problem, because
It is, yes.
you don't move them around cheaply, unfortunately.
So if there's anybody out there watching...
Oh, we'd love a sponsor.
And if you'd like to know more about the BBC's Colour Roving Eye vehicles, then why not head over to the BECG website and follow the links to the excellent article on the subject written by Richard Harris.